Welcome back, Nail Queens. Today's video is going to be a simple dip powder mani using some of these powders from Soul Dip's recent Christmas collection. So I wanted to do something that wasn't actually Christmas theme. I just want some pretty dip powders on my nails. By nails, I mean these full coverage tips. So what I'm doing right now is applying or sizing the jelly tips that Soul Dips has. I use them as full coverage tips. Lately, I've been using glue to apply them instead of gel, so if you have gel allergies, guess what? You can still use full coverage tips, but with glue. And since I use press-ons most of the time, my nail prep isn't where it should be, so I'm pushing back my cuticles and removing any dead or dry skin that might be on the surface of my nail plate or around my skin. Just hanging out there, it gets kind of gross here. It's cold, okay? It's winter, so things are flakier than usual. Anyway, so I'm just cleaning everything up, and then I'm buffing the the new growth of my nail, just to rough it up a little bit so that the glue sticks a lot better. If there's new growth and I don't buff it, then I might have more lifting. I have to clean everything off, so I'm going to use these lint-free wipes from OPI. I got them on Amazon, and some rubbing alcohol, and I'm just going to wipe off all the dust and remove any oils that might still be on my nails. So I use some glue to apply these. I will have a video on that soon, so you guys will see that coming up soon, but it was so easy. I really love this glue. It's incredible. I'll actually link it below in case you guys want to shop it, but I'll have a demonstration and everything later on. And I'm buffing off the shine off of my jelly tips before I go in with the dip powder base liquid and start dipping. You don't have to do this. I truly honestly don't know why I did this. I just did. Probably out of habit, because when I usually wear jelly tips and apply them with gel, I do the same thing where I buff off the shine before I go in with my process. Alright, so time to wipe off the dust and excess dust that's on the nails one more time. So I'm going in with the lint-free wipe and rubbing alcohol again. And then I'm going to get started on dipping. So the solid color is called Vixen. It's a brand new color to Soul Dips. It's a beautiful magenta color. It is so pretty. The liquids I'm going to be using are Mani Boss dip powder. So if Mani Boss is having a Black Friday sale, hopefully, I hope so. I plan on snagging a few more sets because this is my last set of Mani Boss dip liquids. So I'm just applying dip base to my entire nail, and by my nail, when I say my nail, I mean this tip. So I know it's not my real natural nail. It's a full coverage tip. But yeah, that's what I mean when I say I'm applying something to my nail. And Soul Dip sells a cuticle cleanup tool. I have it right here. It's one-ended, so it's not like I've seen a few brands that have dual-ended ones, but this one's just single-ended, and it's not so sharp, which is a good thing if you apply too much pressure and you're afraid of stabbing yourself. So I just run it around my cuticle line to separate the dip powder from my skin, just to make sure it's not touching in case it accidentally started touching. I don't want the dip powder to touch my skin because it can cause lifting, and it's kind of painful when it grows out too. So it's best to clean up your cuticle line literally right after you do each dip. And you're going to see me do that every single time I dip my nail into a dip powder. Right after I'm done dipping, I'm going to take this tool and run it around the cuticle line just to separate any dip powder contact with my skin. So I'm going to let those layers of dip powder dry, and while those are drying, I'm going to dip in the glitter dip powder. This glitter is called Thrill of Hope. It is absolutely beautiful and a great match for the solid color Vixen. If you like your glitters and solids to match and you don't like the contrasting colors, I think these two pair beautifully together. So I applied dip base, and now I'm just pouring over the dip powder onto the nail. There is a reason to this madness. It makes everything lay more beautifully, and so that all the chunky pieces aren't just saturating the bottom base of the nail, you want a good mixture of the chunky large pieces and the smaller minute pieces. So if you struggle with dipping glitter dip powders, my recommendation is on that first coat when you go to dip, don't actually put your finger in the powder. Instead, pour it over on your nail. If the glitter is made really, really well, mixed really well, and it's not predominantly just clear powder, your nails should look like this. And now I have to dust off the solids because they've had plenty of time to dry. I'm doing it over here on the left so that the powder doesn't actually get into my glitter mixture. Right here, I could just move it out of the way, but I'm just gonna do it here on the left on the side, and I'm using a stiff dusting brush to dust it off. And this is what one coat looks like. How good of a coverage is that for one coat? That's incredible. So I'm going to repeat this process all over again, and I'm going to do a second dip of the solid on all of my nails just to foreshadow. I only do 2 dips of these colors on my nails, and it gives me absolutely beautiful full coverage. So that says a lot about the pigmentation of Sol Dips powders. If you were wondering if they're really good quality, I find that these colors go on like butter. They're so easy to apply and they give great coverage. Of course, she does carry some colors that are more transparent, more translucent and sheer. So don't expect full coverage on the ones that are meant to have a sheerness to them. So I noticed I have a little something hanging off on my pinky finger right there. So I'm going to take a hand file and just gently file that off. It should not take a lot of work, just 2 or 3 strokes and bada bing, that is perfect. So I like to make these fixes before I continue dipping, because if I continue dipping on top of it, it's just going to add more bulk onto that mistake. And I want to remove the mistake as easily and soon as possible. So I am almost done dipping in these solids. I'm going to let those dry and then continue on with the glitter nails. And since the glitter is dry, I'm just dusting it all off to make sure any loose ends come off. And then filing the edges, because glitter is very, very chunky. You want to make sure that it's you continue maintaining the shape throughout the manicure. So I'm applying a generous layer of dip base. I know this layer is thicker than what I usually do, and I do that for a reason with glitters, because if my dip base dries too fast, my glitter won't stick well. I'm taking this little eyeshadow brush and I'm sprinkling on the dip powder. Yeah, I'm not pouring, I'm not dipping in it, I'm sprinkling it on, and you will see how good of a coverage I get on this. I am 99% certain that it was Miranda's Nail Creations who told me about this. She's the one who gives me all the greatest glitter hacks in the world. So I love going to her for advice on how to get how to make this look, how to make that look better, blah, blah, blah. She's a great source of information. So I'm just repeating that same process on my ring finger. And again, I'm going to use this eyeshadow brush and sprinkling it on. And trust me, it just gives really, really good coverage. If you were working with a different type of glitter, such as the really chunky ones that have glitter shapes in them, such as snowflakes, you could just manually place the snowflakes and sprinkle the rest on. So that's how I would handle that. And again, like before, just clearing out my cuticle line to make sure none of the glitter chunks are coming in contact with my skin. Glitter does technically have sharp edges, so it can be uncomfortable if it's too close in contact with your skin. Now I'm taking clear dip powder and I'm going to encapsulate all of my nails in clear dip powder. So I have multiple jars of dip powder, and I wish I had done this sooner, but what I wish I had done sooner was have multiple jars, one for solids and one for glitters. I really suck at that because I often contaminate my perfect favorite clear dip powders with glitters in them, and I can't use them for my solids. So you're going to notice I'm using 2 different jars of clear dip powder. I'm going to use this smaller jar for the solids, and then I'm going to use a larger jar that I have that's extremely contaminated with glitter in it. I'm going to use the other one for the glitter nails. Sometimes you may notice that one nail looks a little wet and the other one looks very powdery. If that happens, dip the wetter looking nail back in the powder so it continues to absorb more powder. It just means there's too much liquid on there and not enough powder. So that's why I re-dipped all my nails back into the powder. And once it's all dry, I dust everything off. I'm starting with the solids. Of course, the glitter ones have to dry a little bit more. And I'm activating all of my nails. So what this is going to do is harden the dip powder and make it really, really strong so that when I file, shape, and buff the dip powder nails, nothing just like comes flying off. So this is basically like, it's not the same ingredients or anything. It's just for comparison. It's like curing gel polish in a nail lamp. This is like that process. It's what like really brings the thing together and hardens it and make it so where it doesn't move all over the place. So for my filing, shaping, and buffing, I have this extremely overused and old buffing block. I really need to buy more. I just ran out. So I'm just going to buff my nails with the 100 grit side of the buffing block and smooth everything out with the 180 side of the buffing block. And I'm also taking my hand file, which is also 100 over 180 grit hand file, and fixing any of my free edges or if anything is like hanging out underneath. And then for my cuticle line, I treat it completely different. I take this glass file and I run it around the cuticle line just so that like it gives me a nice curved cuticle area, but also because the glass file is so gentle, it will not like cut up my skin. I have very sensitive skin. It gets red easily. It will like cut easily, especially with hand files. So I love the glass file to be able to protect my skin from having too much contact with the file. It's very gentle and I get that clean, crisp cuticle line looking crisp, clean. That was a riddle. So for the glitter nails, it's like a different ball game. So what I'm doing is I'm taking out my e-file and I have this dome ceramic drill bit. So the dome protects my skin from being filed. Very essential to have those like protective measures in place. And I'm just going around the sidewalls and cuticle lines, any area that comes in contact with my skin, and smoothing that out. But I'm not really going to focus on the whole nail because I'm going back to my buffing block and my hand file for the rest of it. I just wanted to like focus on getting the sidewalls smooth and the cuticle area without hurting myself, but by no means am I suggesting that an e-file is necessary to do a dip powder mani. It's absolutely not. I just like to have it handy just in case. It just really depends on my mood as well. So I'm going to finish filing, shaping, and smoothing everything out. And then once I'm satisfied with the shape, I have to dust everything off and then take rubbing alcohol and a lint-free wipe again, and then clean off all of the excess dust that is on my nails. It's very imperative that you clean everything off before you go in with your next coat of activator and your top coat. If you don't want to like wipe it off with like rubbing alcohol and stuff, you can just go to your sink and wash off your hands if you want, but I don't feel like getting up and going to a sink, so yeah, that's why I used rubbing alcohol. And then now once the activator is set, it's been like a couple minutes, I take rubbing alcohol again and I give my nails just a quick wipe to remove any excess activator that might still be on the nails. If there's too much activator on the nail, when you go to apply your top coat, several things can possibly happen. Your brush can harden, or your nail will stay like gummy and gooey and won't dry. I've had those both happen before, so I always take those extra precautions by using rubbing alcohol right before I go in with my top coat. And the instructions on this company's dip liquids is to apply 2 coats of the top coat to the nail. So I apply 1 coat to all of the nails. I give it about 15 to 30 seconds for it to air dry, and then I go in with a second coat. That second coat just makes everything super smooth and super glossy. So that's why you see me going over a nail cup twice, a couple of times, is because that's what the instructions specify. And by the way, if you're like not new to dip powder, this might sound very redundant, but I do like to do a lot of like tutorial or instructional style videos. So I might be repeating myself like I have many times in previous Dip With Me videos. But yeah, I was just like really feeling this mani and wanted to do like an instructional style. So once my nails have all been top coated, I'm almost done. I got to do the glitter one. Once they've all been top coated, I'm going to let my hands like rest for like 5 minutes and let it air dry. It usually completely dries in like 2 minutes, but I just want to be extra precautious and give it about 5 minutes. Once the 5 minutes have passed, it's time to hydrate. So I have Candi Skincare's Cuticle Oil. Mani Boss actually carries Candi Skincare, like an exclusive scent to Mani Boss. It's really awesome. It smells incredible if you want to buy like Mani Boss's liquids. But yeah, Candi Skincare has amazing cuticle oils. I love using them. And yeah, my right hand is not done. I am a press-on shop nail owner, so in order to work on my own products and promote my own products, I have to keep one hand bare so I can actually use my own products in like for promotions and stuff. So yeah, I know my right hand is empty and has nothing on it and it looks weird, but it is what it is. I love dip powder, I love dipping, and I love supporting small businesses. So I'm still going to continue, even though I have a small business of my own, supporting other small businesses. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. I would love to have you part of the Nail Queen family, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!